You're going to hear me today. I was in Iraq 3 days before the bombs fell in '91. There were Muslim Sunni mosques. There were Shia mosques. There were Christian churches and Jewish temples and synagogues. And even under Saddam Hussein, there was peace among them. Isn't that right, Brother Baghdadi? But when America went in, under the guise that he had weapons of mass destruction, did they find any? So what was shock and awe about? You want to bring Gaddafi before the International Criminal Court? What about Bush? What about Rumsfeld? What about a government that lied to the American people and caused the lives of hundreds of thousands to be lost?
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
Early on Tuesday, striking around Muammar Gaddafi's residential.
We joined the United Nations because we wanted the charter to be like that. It says that the armed forces only use it when it is a common interest to all nations. But after that, what happened? 65 wars broke out after the establishment of the United Nations and after the establishment of the Security Councils, and after this establishment, 65, and the victims are millions more than the victims of the Second World War. Are these wars and the aggressions and the force that was used, the power in the 65 was in the interest of the common interest of all of us? No, it was in the interest of one country or 3 countries or 4 countries or 1 country, but it was not in the interest of all the nations.
The coalition said destroying Gaddafi was not their goal. Then why bomb his palaces? Now some officials have claimed that eliminating him was in fact their goal.
Libya. It's a vast country, hot, dusty, and dry, 90% desert. So you may be surprised to know there's a huge river flowing beneath it, a vital source of drinking water for Libya's cities, a man-made river that could one day even turn desert into farmland.
A land thirsting for water and home to one of the most ambitious irrigation schemes in the world. It's called the Great Man-Made River, and it flows beneath these sands. It is colossal in scale. 500,000 concrete pipes have been made and laid down over the past 2.5 decades. 6,000 kilometers of pipeline. Engineers digging deep into the bowels of the earth to tap into ancient aquifers. Libyans call it the eighth wonder of the world.
There is water in the Libyan Sahara deserts since a million years ago, and we have to use it. We have to use this water.
Planners here want to irrigate to reduce the country's heavy dependence on food imports. The parched lands around this huge man-made lake near Benghazi are slowly being turned to agricultural use. In its early days, skeptics called it the Great Madman's River, a reference to the Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi and its enormous expense, billions of dollars. And the Great Man-Made River comes with a great unknown. Nobody knows just how long the water will last. But that makes it no less vital than a country battling to keep the desert at bay. And Libyans will make no apologies for drawing what is to them life's blood in a dry, dry land. Margaret Evans, CBC News, in the Libyan desert.
Was filled with, which I thought was portable toilets. So I never looked.
You will see that the rebels have new foreign weapons which were not adopted by the Libyan military forces. Foreign instructors, foreign weapons, foreign money, foreign scenario, but native blood. When the flow of pictures from Libya started, the evident staged character of the pictures led one to want to take a deeper look at the situation. Note, all the pictures shown were taken by Western journalists, highlighting the situation from the rebel standpoint only. And from the very first frames of film it hit me, the weapons and equipment of those rebels simply could not have been so massive in number and so brand new. Unless the weapons somehow found their way there on time from the outside.
Superpowers have interests, complicated interests, and they use the interests, they use the Security Council, they use the power of the United Nations to protect their interests. And these terrorize, intimidated the third world. The third world is terrified and being terrorized and living under the fear of terror.
You can see in this ordinary demonstrator's hands the light automatic rifle FN-FAL, absolutely brand new, right out of the box. The rifle was produced by the Belgian armaments manufacturer FN. During the Cold War, it was adopted by many North Atlantic Treaty Organization countries, with the notable exception of the United States. It's one of the most widely used rifles in history, having been used by over 90 countries. The light automatic rifle was predominantly chambered for the 7.62 by 51mm NATO round, and because of its prevalence and widespread use amongst the armed forces of many NATO countries during the Cold War, it was nicknamed the right hand of the free world. This guy has another brand new FN-FAL. And as does this guy as well. In the next photo you can see a mob scene and a guy wearing a white headscarf. He also has an FN-FAL.